VCS in their revenge tour and attempts to make a push for MSI as the first event that VCS has actually attended in terms of international play in a good amount of years. I could say with a lot of confidence that we've had team after team in the last couple of splits that have really gotten us excited about the prospects of a VCS team returning to the world stage. But I can say if GAM continues to perform on the level that they have this split already, I don't think anybody that is a fan of the VCS would be upset with them going to Worlds with the roster playing the way they are.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're going to see SGB take this game and take this series, I mean, if they want to take this series, they're probably going to have their best shot through this first game. Because we've seen GAM they've sort of tried things out a little bit in those game ones, and we saw the Diana Yasuo, we saw just game ones go in general, sort of go awry in the early game. Their early laning strength hasn't felt like their strong suit for the most part, and it's led to times where like, oh, can Secret take a game off GAM? Can Flash take a game off GAM? They never have because of great macro play. So I feel this is going to be another situation like that for GAM, but Buffalo might be good enough to keep the pressure on, keep it rolling, as we see good play from Taki to deny B. It could have been a very heavy one trade, but the push is king for GAM, and this is what is going to be most important for them as they try and push for that early level 2.
The level 1 Aphelios obviously weak for a number of reasons. The crit shot combined with the ability coming out from Style means they just have far more wave control in the earlier stage of the game, even with the solid play from Taki, just to make that big of a difference. Just hoping to get that level 2 up and going pretty quickly. Notice also it was Levi starting topside, also receiving a leash from Kiaya, as opposed to BJ, who started on the top side, is just full clearing without the assistance from anybody from that previous buff. Gonna find his way to the red buff quicker than the Raptors. It's just gonna be the full clear coming out from Levi. I'm curious what the timer looks like between these two, because obviously in an ideal world, BJ is able to kind of rope in, lasso the pony, if you will, against Levi's Hecarim, just to make sure he's not able to have this big impact and eventually get to a place where the Viegos can be really strong. And Levi wants the exact opposite of this, right? Like he presses, he clears all the camps, and immediately starts putting pressure into a number of places, especially if GAM's able to bounce a wave off the bottom side, which is what's happening right now. If Shogun and Taki end up having to push back to the middle, maybe Hecarim's able to make a strike down here, but the coverage from BJ should be helpful.
Yeah, that's the reason, really the main reason for skipping those Raptors, just to make sure Levi doesn't try anything a little bit funny. But this does mean that when Levi goes in for his requisite ward on the Raptors, just to see, he's going to actually see BJ is here, and he's not actually going to be able to find a way into grabbing anything. But he will realize, oh, you're here, I have priority, I can go first.
Wow.
I'm going to get that second Scuttle Crab immediately. Unless Vex has anything to say about this, they're roaming up. And
far. Yeah, it's a situation. Ooh, back to bottom side. We're getting a bit of interaction here. Probably not too much in the way of full trading. Solid, though. Use of the green gun, use of the marks as well onto Style. Just making sure too much damage thrown into the Jhin to feel confident extending that play any further. But I like where your head was going right there. I thought it was cool that Froggy was able to back and not only use it as a defense mechanism against a gank from Levi, but then also with that back and with the ability to shove back out the lane. It's pretty nice. Style, flash from Taki, getting able to set that up. Duskwave is enough. A couple of autos from Shogun. W. Gonna come in. Styles able to actually get that one away, and now Taki's gonna have to run for the hills, but he's gonna go down as well. 2 kills onto the bottom side for the side of GAM's bot lane. The one thing we had actually really pushed for being one of the strong points here for Saigon, faltering in the beginning of the game.
Huge flash hook from B at the end there, just to save Shogun. Save Style at the very end. And this bot lane has been coming up huge, and yeah, as I did like that mid lane touch.
More shenanigans. Yeah. Kadi pushed out a little bit. The flash is going to get him over top of the wall. Froggy's health bar not really in a position to be able to actually do anything further. So it is just going to be the bird flash here for Kadi in the mid lane. Nothing bird from Saigon. It's going to be a replay where we're going to get to see what happened here. It was a great start from Taki, the flash lane. Look how low Styles' health was. He was only at 100 even after the heal. All happened right here. Wow.
Okay, so yeah, the flash over the minions to avoid any form of block from B, and then just then just walking past Taki, who's sort of, I think, trying to just rein in as much damage as he can on the auto attacks, and that just meant that he isn't able to block the hook from B, and then that saves the play overall, and just very close. But I do like SGB's attempt on the play. It fell apart, but it was good. It was a good attempt to say, look, we punished it super hard on that first trade because you can't you had to reload, so we're gonna go now. We're gonna try and catch you out and do as much burst damage as possible. Didn't quite have enough, and that's unfortunate.
Truly is. It was a situation also, I think, at the very end of that play that we saw the lapse of vision. The late ward had come through and attempted to get the Dusk Blade auto, or the Dusk Wave auto off, my apologies. Oh, ultimate into the mid lane onto Kadi. The health bar of Froggy's so low. I know Kadi wanted the kill, but he's not going to get it. The flash has already been revert. Now, 1-for-1, Levi versus BJ in the mid lane. W is going to go down as BJ had stolen the soul of the mid laner here from GAM. Levi wants to continue the fight. Ultimate can't be there because BJ doesn't have it quite yet. Q's going to get used. W is going to get him out of that situation. And so just being the 1-for-1, the punishment of the flashless Kadi in the mid lane does end up going the way of GAM. So their horse is the one who's able to pick up a kill.
Yes, it sort of works out a little bit. Even it depends on where you sort of want to throw your gold, I guess. It works out fine for GAM as they have the hacker and they are ahead so far in the jungle. Plus they win the health trade that Levi gets to stand out on the map, and he's not stopping.
Fighting back and forth. That is in the top lane. Hospital doing a bad job in the 2v2. Oh, is not going to be able to deny the kill. The minions were doing their best to help body block for Mr. President, but is just not going to be enough. Instead, Kiaya and his jungler able to do things. This is the mid lane plays. We're going back and find a fair amount just to be able to see the punishment onto the poor mid laner of GAM here.
And so you can actually see that the ultimate had already been blown from Kadi, and he had pretty much no mana left. I think he's just trying to shove the wave, do a little bit of poke damage, and then they go, all right, you're in position, BJ. We can punish this pretty much instantly. Levi's able to turn it back, and that saves the play for GAM, but it's SGB capitalizing off small things from GAM in the lane, or at least trying to. They're just not working out for them, but pretty much all the plays are well-intended. They make a lot of sense to do. It's just GAM are responding very well. So we see supports now making their turn in the mid lane.
You see the 8-minute timer has officially buzzed, which means that we get our famous Rift Hero plays here inside of VCS. We get to be on the opposite side of this so often that I don't get the anticipation of waiting for the fight. That's bound to happen around this every single time. Biggest thing I'm noticing, their Jhin is still on the way up. Style obviously has the ultimate to effect from a much further distance, but Shogun's already here. So the fight inside the river, easy enough to go to. Taki with a nice hook is able to find a big pick onto B. That's going to start things off in a very solid place. Jane has been able to arrive. Taki's going to block the shots. That might be too much health being taken. And Style is going to be able to bring him down with the final shot. That is a stolen Rift Herald by Levi. The rest of the team is in the brink of annihilation by Kiai. He's going to have to back out. Doesn't quite have the damage to take things over. Just ends up being the 1-for-1. But importantly, the Rift Herald slipping into the hands of Levi.
Yeah, you absolutely take that if you're GAM. You just walked away with the Rift Herald. You only lost B in the process. And I thought that this was going to be great for SGB. They zoned it out. Levi didn't have his ultimate for a while. It's only just back up now. But they pulled back. They gave Levi enough time to walk around after taking that pick onto B. And they thought, I guess, I also probably assumed that the right play from GAM was going to be backing away as they actually catch him in the Hex Flash. But the damage from Kadi is enough to sort of keep them scared, especially with that curtain call opening up as well. Yeah. The trade from the Levi, who gets the smite as well. Just very well played from GAM, and it looks like it's going to continue.
Shogun. Oh! Domination from the bottom lane here from GAM as they continue their reign of terror against Shogun and his Aphelios, as well as Taki's Thresh. That previous play, just jumping back to it really quickly, I'm not sure if the hook was intended actually for B. I know they got a kill, but it kind of looked like it was aimed at Kadi and just barely missed. And it bought enough time for Style to be able to slip up river. So another kill into the pocket of Jhin. That's 4 kills now into Style's back pocket. And this has been somebody that, like, in previous splits, I know we had our question marks. He and DivKid have been able to split time over the the course of this split and previous splits as well. But this has been the hero split where Style's been able to step out. This is a position where, I mean, Shogun's just far too far up in terms of this lane, but Style still having a fantastic game to speak of.
Yeah, we saw that control ward in that tri-brush from GAM, and that should be something that should be cleared out before you even think about stepping up as a AD carry in that situation, because you have pretty much no vision around that top side, so you probably need to at least make sure you can see into that bush for that wraparound, at least one of these bushes. Anyway, Shogun oversteps, Shogun gets punished, and yes, we have to, it's worth pointing out Style, when he showed up in the VCS on Saigon Buffalo, he was the worst player in the VCS, but he was in the running for it, yes, for sure. And he came to GAM. We raised a few question marks, absolutely, and then GAM played through him, and he looked like a much better player as Taki finds the hook.
Really quick pick onto B. The ultimate from Levi is going to put a bad positioning in there for Shogun, who's going to get traded back immediately. Ends up just being the 1-for-1, all things considered, as Levi, I mean, that's literally all he's been doing. He's just been trading back and forth time and time again with anybody on the side of Saigon, just turning every positive play they could set up into something equalizing here, as he and Style just going to continue to loop pressure onto the bottom side turret. I wonder if they drop the Rift Herald here. I feel like the gold is better situated elsewhere. They're going to leave a bit of space. Taki's able to find a nice play onto Style, but it's not going to mean all too much. BJ is still here to catch the wave, and that means GAM's going to get pushed off. Looks like they're moving multiple members into mid lane. Maybe that's a point of attack for this Rift Herald to come through. Froggy's not full health, so you can't really sit here and tank the Rift Herald the way you'd want to.
Yeah, this feels a lot better than trying to, push the 5-0 Jin already like a little further ahead. He's got enough. Give some gold over to the Victor. That's going to be your next, like, one of your bigger damage sources as the game progresses, especially up front. So, and see, B is just kind of already a bit too tanky for the side of Buffalo to deal with. The Glacial Augment slows them down enough for Levi to just clean it up. And yeah, with BJ going into that reset, trying to get that soul, the fact they kill Shogun in the meantime, push him into a bad spot, it means, yeah, you're stuck as two supports fighting a jungler and an AD carry, and they won't move for a lot of it, but you're not going to kill them.
It's also crazy because at the very tail end of that fight, Shogun had what was Severum ultimate copping out, and if he hits 2 targets, that's like 400, 500 health back in his pocket. Yeah. They almost certainly clean the rest of that play. It's really crazy because a number of times I've had to call out Saigon Buffalo's bottom lane, which is not something that normally gets done because they're oftentimes playing extremely well, but in this game, they've had a number of very crucial mistakes. BJ wraps around on Kiai. Taki is here as well for the flee through the tri-brush. He's still just here. He's on the full retreat path, however, because I think they realize the reinforcements are coming in from GAM and they don't want to worry about anything. So I guess just taking stock of the map altogether. Ooh, wait, I'm gonna wait because there's like shark music. Jaws music is on for Style.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for Shogun to get closer to sort of get an assist in place, because the range on that ultimate means Froggy is
he's
still
just
in range
stuck
to
here.
Make things happen. Yeah,
yeah. Style now understands the situation that he is in. Flashes the ultimate just to make sure to get out. So the Gale Force and the Flash Burn from Style, they get nothing though. You feel like they're in blind vision. You feel like Style has to get punished much harder than just the flash going down. I suppose you'll take what you can get. But off the back of this, also with 2 members into the bottom side of the map, and you had already seen 2 on the top side of the map, that means the mid lane is open. So GAM, after the Rift Herald push, brought down a couple of turret plates, were able to bring down first turret in the mid lane. So much gold going into the pockets of this GAM feed for what seems like free, as Saigon's plays just aren't sticking.
We're pushing out to 4K, about 4K now, just 4 and a bit. But that bot lane play, I saw Froggy walk up, and I was like, oh, he's gonna just, walk in, press the W, press the E for the easy fear that is much harder to dodge, maybe force a flash, then follow with the ultimate, but no, just,
action to top side. Nice play from Taki. He's going to get the Glacial down. It's going to start something. Oh, the stopwatch as well is able to get enough time. And yes, he's going to trade back, but that means Hosmed gets a nice ultimate off. I thought Kiai was going to take more damage as BJ is trying to get on top of him. Uses the body of his dead jungler to attack Kiai himself. Finally, a winning play coming through from the side of Saigon off the back of a very nice play from Taki. First time I've had a chance to compliment him all day. Levi, again on one of these covers, super close to turning this play around. But thankfully, there were enough members around from Saigon to deny GAM's jungler yet another counter gank.
Yeah, overloading heavily onto this top side works out finally for Buffalo. They shore up the gold a little bit and claim that Herald. It's gonna be a lot of damage down onto this bot side from Cardi. He takes out that bot lane tier 1. Half of that tier 2 damage tower has... Is it... Let's try that again. Half of the health of that tier 2 turret is down as well. And Cardi, Taki rather, it's so nice. Lands the hook, gets the instant stopwatch to stay alive, and Kaya does enough to pop him, but the Hecarim's kind of fed, and now he's running you down, and that's not what you want. So that's a nice pickup for BJ. He's feeling comfortable. He's feeling back into the game after getting sort of out jungled by Levi in pretty much all categories this game. So he's now back in the game. He's got a Rift Herald in pocket, and now they can try and make a play somewhere else on the map as top lane turret full.
It's a position where all of a sudden, like, Levi's champion doesn't really get super weak. Obviously, a Hecarim who's behind is never going to be strong, but a Hecarim who's doing fine in the early game usually doesn't get a lot worse. The team fighting's going to be there. You build the tank stats, and you're going to be able to do quite a bit. And you can see that's kind of what Levi's been opting for. And the other big setup that's come about from this, obviously, not only the Jhin, but the Graves, like you said, the Hullbreaker Graves makes it very difficult for side lane pressure to come through. It's a question of, does game even have to play this out? We're going to wait a minute because we're getting another collapse onto Kiaya. The Graves able to get out. Now Levi is here as well for the team fight into Hosmed's ultimate, who's able to rip through the remainder of the team. Levi tries to get something. He's going to find an ultimate, not going to get it. Instead, 2 into the pockets of the mid laner from Saigon. Style and Kiaya just going to walk out the back of that place. Somehow Kiaya, a magnet for attention in the back half of this game so far, yet to go down, at least in that skirmish right there, but does cost the lives of a couple of members of his team.
Old breaker baby. Now they could have converted a little bit harder on this but BJ wanders down to sort of help protect the mid lane, but they could have just ran that straight to the top side, but they're going heavy onto Style.
In the mid lane, immediately the setup and an attempt to pick off Style, it does come through as BJ is able to get that one, and that is a trade I think you'll take all day. Yes, you do put more gold into the Jin's pocket, but you're getting so much more into BJ with that massive shutdown.
Yeah, that huge shutdown, and you can probably, I guess with Shogun dying, you can't really push that turret down in the mid lane, but it's a good shutdown. You want that off the board. And I want to touch on this quickly before we get interrupted again. Normally we see these Hecarims, they have these huge plays early. They sort of come in, they build their Stone Blade, they build their Chemtech, whatever, run fast thing. And they do a really strong, heavy upfront bit of burst, and then they're just kind of hanging out, being a nuisance in the backline. In solo queue, you build the Manamune, you build the Muramana, and you just get a spam Q and do way too much damage for only 1 damage item. So, we're seeing that coming through from Levi, clearly empowered by his good start. That's coming through. He will be much more of a nuisance if he has that sort of completed and ready to go. Hosmed doesn't get his 5 quite as long in that fight, and it probably goes much differently. But as is, it's cruising. Buffalo are sort of back into the game. They've shrunk the goal lead by a little bit. Only by about 1,000 as another dragon goes to GAM.
It's 2 Drakes now in the pockets of GAM who've made it a pretty decent focus over the course of the season to really focus towards these. They're a team that plays well in the late game. They oftentimes have compositions that can yield such. And when Levi is kind of operating the early game, what he has, it's really difficult, I suppose, as an enemy jungler to find much. The Rift Herald traded on the other side of the map. They're going to get at least 1 tower, and this is also a catch-up timer, so that's additional gold into the pockets of Saigon. So gold so far is actually in their best interest. The fear is going to keep Graves off the tower. It's not going to be quite enough to actually full capture on that. It's an interesting position we find ourselves in. It's 3,000 gold advantage for the side of Saigon. The majority of their gold is clustered between this Viego and this Vex, these 2 reset machines inside of teamfights. And for GAM, pretty much the majority, the big nucleus of their team composition is Style, who has about a 3k lead over top of Shogun, pretty terribly, if I do say so myself, for the Affilios to be down this this far on the Jhin. But outside of that, I mean, you're talking, this is a Hullbreaker Graves, which isn't the greatest of team fighters of all recorded history. He's not like the crit Graves that could just live forever as a frontliner. And like you said, the damage on Levi is going to be higher, but you don't have those initial tank stats. You're going to be a little bit squishier than you were before. Do you think there's an opening, or do you think that GAM is still just going to be able to run things for the most part?
Yeah, with the and I mean, you've got the Evan Shroud as well coming in from B, so that gives you another squishier target than, say, going for the whatever it's called, the locket. That's what you were. I think that would have been the better option for B, but again, they've just been winning so hard that they want to go for these more snowbally items. And I mean, it's not really not working, but it does give that opening for sure. It means they are more susceptible to the burst from the Vex and the Viego. But as you say, that is the goal. If they aren't able to get that first kill, especially if Viego dies beforehand, you don't get those resets coming through. Resetting Vex is nowhere near as threatening as resetting Viego, so that is always priority number one for GAM. If they can find and kill him, they win the team fight regardless.
Double TP. We have Kiaya on one side. Froggy has come in. Cotty's on the top side of this map. And Levi's coming around for a massive flank with the Hecarim potentially in the back line. The Dragon sitting at 3,000. It's GAM saying to me that they're not playing for the Drake. They're playing for the fight, but they end up having to back off as well. They don't know if they have vision of Levi and whether or not the horse has been caught. So the ultimate popped from Style. An attempt to push off some of the health bar. It's not going to accomplish too much. Cotty's got plenty of poke as well. They're just going to be competing for the Dragon ultimate in the background from Froggy. Is going to be able to pick off at least one. He does trade eventually. The Dragon did go over to the side of GAM as well, but this is the rest of the fight. Husband, in the midst of everything, finds a massive E and a massive W to be able to clean up so much of what is happening here. And now Shogun walking out the back of the fight. I'm slowly losing interest because I'm like, Saigon's health bars, they're just disappearing little by little, eventually getting brought down every single member. A delayed ace from the side of GAM after stealing away the Dragon as well. Everything working out in GAM's favor.
Look, I'm gonna report Cardi right there for stealing the pentakill from B. He worked himself up to a triple. Give the man his break. And it looks really good from the start because they land that ult onto Style. They go huge. They get a big ultimate from Hasmet as well. But Binjay's just not a part of anything. He's not able to get a reset. He just hangs around as this goofy little Viego boy. And it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. He's not able to get the big Jhin. He's not able to get the Hecarim. He just sits there and doesn't contribute. And if that's your gold, you're playing from an actual deficit, essentially. As we see that gold shoot straight back up, it's soul point as well. Lights might have just gone out for Buffalo, but you can't count out a reset comp like this fully, of course.
The position they find themselves in is their gold is concentrated in Viego and Vex, which are champions that are focused on resets. They're good inside of skirmishing and inside of creating fights that aren't full 5-on-5s, but instead kind of splitting them apart and taking smaller engagements over the course of the 5-on-5. But the champions that really matter are the ones that are the 5-on-5 champions. You saw how much Hamed and Shogun really desperately would have loved to switch gold values with their teammates right there, because you think, if Hasmet has that gold, if Shogun has that gold, they're on third item instead of second item for that fight. And that fight probably looks really good for Saigon Buffalo, but unfortunately, gold's not in the right place even when Style is pulled out. GAM just has too much across the board.
And Hasmet's gone for this Morello Nomicon second just to deal with the lifesteal of Kiara in the side lane. I don't think completing that was the option, because if he had a little bit more damage in there, it might have actually worked out a little bit better.
He's just kind of getting run down. Cotty is just going to do exactly that. And on the top side, coverage from Style, dive from Levi underneath the tower. He is going to get caught out in that time. He gets a little too big for his britches. So unfortunately, even with the Jhin ultimate kind of covering him, is just going to end up in the 1-for-1 situation. Hook up to Binjay leads to the ultimate getting him out of a very precarious situation. Victor can shift over very quickly, Kennen catching the mid wave as Taki is going to get the ultimate pressed upon him. Glacial Augment on both sides, going to get brought down. As Shogun has to flash out as well out of fear that he is going to get brought down by Cotty, my apologies, as that is going to be a GAM setup that leads to them getting big kills in a couple of positions, and it's going to lead to them starting this Baron buff.
Yeah, I can just happily sort of lifesteal and drain tank this. They can't actually go for this, though. They can't do this. No, Someone put a ward down, please.
BJ's got one in the back of the pits. They don't have anything to clean it up.
Okay. So they either have to stall and wait for Levi to actually show up, or they have to find BJ.
Oh! Oh, he is in a very terrifying position, but he's got reinforcements with him. Is B's gonna miss the hook from point blank, and that's gonna be traded off for the jungler, so things are gonna quiet down probably. Levi's still here, so the fight has to be won from the side of Saigon Buffalo. Froggy is able to get a nice pick into Cotty, but the damage just is not there. He's gonna get cleaned up. The Zoni is gonna be buying him a little bit more time, but that's not gonna be enough, as Hosmed also doesn't have the damage to carry the remainder of the fight. GAM playing with some very, very close lines right there, but able to sneak out very much ahead. 3 kills in the back pocket, no jungler. Levi's still up. They're able to now fully commit to this Baron.
They teleported Cardi back in as well. They're more than comfortable to take this, and when they do, they should be able to transition that straight down into that dragon. They might not grab it on the basis of they have to reset, especially Levi, but thanks to this Baron recall, they should have enough time to, at the very least, contest it. And if they do grab that, that is a huge win at shutting down most of Buffalo's AoE sort of composition.
Oh. Goodness gracious. So much from Hosmed actually just missed right there to cause so much of an issue. And that was the dive underneath the turret. So we are ways back when the dive had come through from Levi, which kind of prompted this entire play. Shogun getting the kill was nice, but again, this ended up with an overextension that led to eventually the Baron bait from GAM. And like you said, the backs had to come through, but the deployment was long enough from both sides that actually GAM is here inside the river. They're not using the Baron buff. They're actually fighting onto Froggy. Gets pulled out by Taki. He's going to be able to die a little bit of time. Froggy was still alive for a short time, but he and unfortunately Taki both go down. As this is going to be a cleaned up fight from the side of GAM. They're going to be able to walk away with 3 kills. If they're not satisfied, they can continue for more if they wanted to. But I think their eyes are on the prize. That is the Mountain Soul, the Baron buff push that's going to be ensuing with 3 less members on the side of Saigon. And what is likely the game here?
Yeah, they clean up the fight massively, picking off Froggy, who has been very impactful actually overall for these fights. On the side of Buffalo, he's found pretty strong picks and has sort of done his best to keep them as even as possible. But overall, the whole team is kind of just torn apart. Taki just disappears instantly. It's not working out well for them at all. They grab one tower. There's another one in the top side that they will send Kiaya to work on, as the push from GAM in the bot side should try and drag most of Buffalo away. And it's a very good siege comp from the side of GAM. The dive threat is palpable, as BJ is looking for a flank. So is Hosmed.
Oh wow. They're deep. They're going to try to close back, some clawback, some kind of advantage. Hosmed with the big ultimate into the back line with the Proto Belt. Is he going to be able to burst out anybody? But Style's going to go down immediately. That's a big member to steal from the side of BJ in the back line, though. Kiaya is able to find a number of members. And now Froggy and BJ trying to get work done, but they just don't have enough. Even when they're able to steal the right members' ultimates, Froggy gets at least one back. Going to steal the Levi, but it's not going to be enough. Saigon try at the last possible moment to throw in a fight, but GAM is a brick house, unwilling and unwavering to tip over in the face of all the wind that is being blown by the big bad Saigon Buffalo.
They are mighty, letting it all hang out. They are smashing it. GAM, they've got such a huge gold lead. They have been able to push it through this. They've leave Kiara alone with his hull breaker so he can just get that extra tower bonus as well. Yeah, they're not going to be able to find that win off of it. Too much damage actually able to be done by Buffalo, but 2 inhibitor towers plus another inhibitor on top. That's huge. That's going to be just, we reset, we try again in the next minute.
Yeah.
As it looks so good, Hosmed is able to pretty much kill Style instantly. Gets a 3-man stun, and it's just they're not able to actually convert the damage, really. They kill the 2 carries, but I mean, Kiaya is still big.
It's another situation where it feels like, again, gold in the right pockets for the side of Saigon might have made a difference. But this is a fight that actually got shut out really heavily by B. If you saw, there was like there was an Infernum ultimate that had come through from the Aphelios that not only got body blocked by B, but he took no damage because he went into Zonius. So he double blocked the damage coming through as a big ultimate from him. That same guy is going to be coming through. They find an immediate pick, and BJ also gets brought down. That is the Guardian Angel. They're going to find the play right afterwards as well, as that's 2 in the back pocket. Hosman has to pop the Slicing Maelstrom just to make sure that Levi can't bring him down, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The damage from the pony is enough with just that 1 damage item. Like you were talking about, Levi's going to find himself a solo bolo in the jungle position. Or will he? Oh, yeah, he's going to. As this should probably spell the end of the game now. GAM should be able to walk it up mid lane with these inhibitors, with the minions coming in on 2 lanes, and potentially just finish the game right here and right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of damage potential if Froggy can find that miraculous huge 5-man, 5-man Fear into 5-man Infernum. The potential is there on a sort of 1% chance, but I'm just staying spread apart.
Wow. The attempted pick onto style, but it's not going to amount to anything. The stopwatch was used on both sides just to be able to make sure, but nobody is there for the support of the Saigon mid laner. Just like that, GAM putting their foot down. You have 2-2-1 teams. One has already been brought down by the side of GAM and Cerberus in week number 1, and they are saying this is not a mistake. We are the best team in the league. We are going to wipe Saigon.